Hi kindergarten, welcome back to Reader's Workshop. I wanted to start today's lesson by sharing one of my favorite books with you, and I think a lot of you might be familiar with it, but if it's your first time hearing it, enjoy it. If it's your second, third, fourth, or however many times you can enjoy it too. It is Not Norman. A Goldfish Story. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet, not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings, a soft furry pet to sleep on my bed at night, not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around. This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move, not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman, I ask. Who's Norman, asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone. Oh no, one of the dogs is drinking his water. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, Jenny's gone. Who let my snake loose? Oh no. She has a pet snake and it has gotten loose. Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No, they're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman, he's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As it is over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Bum, bum, bum. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glug, 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 he mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. That night, I'm sound asleep when screech, screech. What's that noise? Scratch, screech, screech. Yikes, there's something at the window. Then out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs and snakes and birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him, but now even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. So I chose this book today because it's perfect to use to talk about today's lesson. So this week we've been talking about sharing our thoughts about our reading with others, and we talked about using our sticky notes with a space or something drawn on it to help us remember those thoughts when we get to the end of our reading time so we can share them with others. And so I wanted to talk to you today. A lot of times when people share these, they want to say, okay, my character in the story, he was happy, then he was sad, then he was happy again, which might be true, but we want to talk about using just right words to describe those character feelings. And so instead of saying he's happy or he's sad, thinking about a word that really describes the happiness. So like I can think of a time when I was in high school, and I remember very well my best friend coming to me one day. Her dad was a coach, and so he was going to move and coach at another school. And so she came to me and told me she was going to be moving. And so I could very easily use a word like sad to describe how I was feeling on that day. But if I really think about the kind of sadness I was feeling, I really kind of thought a lot about it, and the word that really comes to mind was lonely. Like, yes, it was sadness, but I was sad because I felt alone. Like, everyone has their very best friend, and she was mine, and now she was going to be moving. And so instead of using the word sad to describe that, I could use a word like lonely to really give you a just right description of that feeling. And so kind of in the story that we just shared, Norman, on the very first page, I could describe the little boy as feeling sad here. But if I really think about what kind of sadness he was feeling, I think about a word like disappointed, because I think that he was wanting a pet, but he was wanting a different kind of pet. So when he saw that he unwrapped his present and it was a goldfish, he was feeling a little disappointed because that wasn't the kind of pet he was hoping for. So today, as you're reading, continue to use those sticky notes to mark those places that you want to share. But when it comes time to share those with someone, a brother, a sister, a mom, dad, whoever you're going to share, you could even call grandma or grandpa. Think about words that you could just write. Instead of just happy or just sad or something, think about what kind of happiness or what kind of sadness, and think about some just right words that you could use to really tell someone about how the characters might have been feeling in the story that you read today. So feel free to share those with us, but for sure share them with someone around your house or call someone on the phone and even share them over there for something different. But think about those just right words. Have a great day. Bye.